What is the mystery of 6? How's everybody doing today? Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to my channel. I do educational videos on a number of different subjects. Right now, we've been focused on a unit to study the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is really kind of the first unit before we get into many other topics, because this is kind of all-encompassing. You may have seen this diagram before. You may have seen it called the Hebrew Kabbalah. The ancient Egyptian version is the Tree of Life, so this goes back at least to ancient Egypt, and it probably goes back further than that, but we don't really know for sure, into the darkness of prehistory. But the tree is something that you can use as a fundamental basis for better understanding all the other subjects that you're learning. So it's been referred to as a mystical filing cabinet. So all the mystical things that you're studying, that you will be studying if you watch this channel, have a nice little space reserved for them on the Tree of Life. So if you can learn the Tree of Life, it'll just make everything that much easier going forward. So that's why we're starting with this. And you can see the tree has 10 different circles on it that are numbered: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There is a thing here called the abyss, which is an implied circle or sphere. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that makes a total of 12 different categories. And we will go over those 12 different categories. They're really more or less boiled down to our 12 faculties of consciousness, or 12 aspects of consciousness. And then a little bit later, we will go over a slightly more advanced way of studying the tree, which is to take the whole tree and to fractalize it. So you basically, you can do this infinite amount of times, but this is just the first layer. Taking the tree has 12 different categories. You can break everything down by those 12 different categories, and you can put it into miniature and apply it to each one of the spheres. So you can break down the 10th sphere into its 12 categories, and then break down the 9th sphere into its 12 categories. So you're basically, instead of just breaking it down into 12 categories, you're breaking it down into 144 categories, 12 by 12. And that's what I've done in my kind of way of trying to teach the tree. And so we'll be looking at that a little bit later. But to start with, if you'd like a list of those 144, just send me, click the link in the description, and that'll send me a notice, and I'll send you out a free copy of that, because it helps you to be able to keep score at home, to be able to keep track of what's going on in all these different videos. Okay, now we're gonna do the beginner's aspect of the tree. The 10th sphere has to do with our survival, our wild animal consciousness, the law of the jungle, kill or be killed, the state of nature, fight or flight response, the state of the health of the body, and we'll find ourselves in this 10th sphere when our survival is being threatened. Okay, then the 9th sphere is our domestic consciousness. This is what we're getting when we're growing up in the home, early years of our life. We are highly receptive to everything, just soaking it all up, fascinated by everything, and we watch what our caregivers are doing, and we imitate that, and we keep practicing it, and then we learn it, and we memorize it. So those are the basic processes of the 9th sphere. The ninth sphere is blind, so doesn't matter what your caregiver is doing, you're going to learn how to copy it. You're going to imitate it, practice it, and memorize it. And none of it is based on good or evil or good or bad. It's just a blind copy, blind following. Okay, the eighth sphere is somewhat similar, but where the ninth sphere is about the domestic consciousness, the eighth sphere is about the public consciousness. So this is what you get once you go start school, once you go out into the real world, to church or to, Cub Scouts or brownies or whatever it is, and you are put in contact with the expert opinion and the conventional wisdom and all the institutions and the establishment and the resources and the people with the initials after their name and the ones with the white lab coats on, and they tell you what you're supposed to think about things, and you pretty much you believe in that. So this is really our belief systems and our logical reasoning faculty. Now, the logical reasoning faculty is really like a lack of logical reasoning faculty because, among other things, the eighth sphere is a trickster. So what it's telling you that you're supposed to believe in is not necessarily true. It's just based on their own convenience, the establishment's convenience. It's what they want you to believe for whatever reason. That's, that they've decided that they want you to believe this. And so if you don't believe it, you are basically not allowed in the eighth sphere. If you don't express that you do believe it, you're kind of shunned. And so what happens is that we recognize that we have to get into this eighth sphere a little bit just to get the resources. And so we give it lip service. We pretend like we believe it even though we don't. But in some cases, we actually convince ourselves that we believe it, even though we don't really. This is especially true when our own experience contradicts with the belief systems that they're telling us here. So we end up rationalizing, meaning that we come up with various excuses for the eighth sphere as to why it's true, even though our own experience tells us that it's not. When they tell us that the emperor is wearing no clothes, but we clearly see that the emperor is not wearing clothes, and they tell us that he has a beautiful new suit on, we convince ourselves because they create the consensus. So we convince ourselves that we're going crazy, something's wrong with us, that we don't see the suit, and then we give it lip service and say, yeah, that's a beautiful suit that he's wearing. But we, deep down in our own experience, we know that that's not true. But we rationalize it because, A, we need to get in here for the resources, and B, we don't want to go there to think about that the people that we look up to, the experts and the establishment and the institutions, that they're lying to us. So we can't go there. We can't accept the fact that they're lying to us. So we have to accept the fact that we're lying to ourselves. We have to lie to ourselves in order to justify the eighth sphere. So the eighth sphere is very tricky that way. But really, what it boils down to is belief systems and rational faculty. But, to fit into the eighth sphere, it's like we have to invert our rational faculty in order to rationalize. But if we actually use our rational thinking, it will, kind of alert us to the problems of the eighth sphere. And that will enable us to move over here to the seventh sphere, where the eighth sphere is about the real world. The seventh sphere is our imaginary world. So this is what we imagine as an improvement over the eighth sphere. We're like, well, that's kind of, you know, unbelievable and just a lie over here. So we come over here and we imagine a better way of doing it. And we use other faculties of the seventh sphere to create something. Our creative faculty is over here. Our intuition, being able to kind of go inside, and determine it for ourselves. This is really your intuition at this level, is you activate it through wondering. You know, I wonder if that's right or not. And you can make communication with something inside of you that communicates to you the answers. And then also inspiration. You see other people who have done the same in the past. And then finally, our pleasure principle, our discernment as well, and our pleasure principle, our ability to put things together in pleasing arrangements. And so we come up with alternatives for the eighth sphere. But really, in order to develop these alternatives and to work on them, we need to move up the tree. And this impetus is given to us by inspiration. We see other people up here doing it, and so we strive to do the same. The inspiration, though, is only the 1% of genius. The other 99% is the perspiration. So it's a lot of hard work to make this climb, but you know, that's probably why the only people that really do it are those who are desperate enough. And so once we get to the sixth sphere, we recognize that we've been here all along. The sixth sphere is the center of the tree, and it is where we are located. You are here on the map. And the sixth sphere is our free will faculty, our ability to pay attention, and our ability to make decisions. And unfortunately, we are paying attention normally down to the bottom of the tree. This is what we pay attention to. The consensus worldview, what we picked up from our parents, and you know, our own survival and the lusts of our body. And so in order to really gain our free will, we exercise the other aspect of our free will, our ability to make decisions, and we decide to turn our backs on this lower lower matrix here, and to actually pay attention up the tree instead of down the tree. So that's the first move toward free will for us. And then the first place that we apply our attention is the fifth sphere, and because that's the next one on the tree. Our fifth sphere is our sense of justice, also known as karma. The fourth sphere is about the natural law. The fifth sphere is about the enforcement of that law, and that's karma. And that's calibrated based on violation, violence, and waste. So what happens here is you can imagine that there's a mirror right here. We get immediate feedback on our actions. So when we act, there's a reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's how karma works. As you sow, so shall you reap. And if we learn to pay attention, we can get the feedback, and we can recognize that this feedback isn't optimal. And the reason why it's not optimal is because my input wasn't optimal. If I act in a pure manner, I get return in a pure manner. But if I act and it's wasteful, then that's what I get back. If I act and it's violent, that's what I get back. So we can learn by using the feedback of our karma as a teacher how to purify our behavior. And then the fourth sphere, like I said, universal law, also universal love, and universal language. And this is really like the cosmology, and the holy books that tell us, who God is, where we came from, what we're here for, all the questions, all the theories of everything, how everything works and how it all fits together. And we can tune into this, but preferably tune into multiple versions of this, because there's a lot of different ones. Some are more effective than others. Some have stood the time more than others. Some have been updated more than others. But they all, express truths that are based on observation, investigation, experimentation, experience, measurement, these kind of more objective standards, as opposed to at the asphere where the law is laid down according to decree and, just whim. This is based on, some kind of analysis of reality done by sincere people. So, but gradually, again, we use our intuition, we wonder about these things, and we can figure out, what harmonizes most with our own experiences from all these cosmologies. Now, the abyss is about our psychic powers, our abilities to tune into and recognize omens, is the psychic receptivity. And then our ability to act upon those omens is our psychic heat. So the omen is really like the magnetically charged object. And the omen can be in the form of a synchronicity, just a big coincidence, a recurring theme, a recurring number. It could be a deja vu, just something that's eerie or uncanny. And when we notice it, it presents us with a path of action. And so the noticing triggers, the psychic receptivity triggers the psychic heat. So those are the two parts. And in the Egyptian, they're portrayed as two snakes, just like the caduceus of the medical profession. They're two snakes that wind through the middle pillar of the tree of life. And one of the snakes is psychic receptivity and the other one is psychic heat. And they represent eclipses. The psychic heat is a lunar eclipse and the psychic receptivity is a solar eclipse. Okay, well, so this is the moon. Ninth sphere is the moon. Eighth sphere is Mercury. Seventh sphere is Venus. Sixth sphere is the sun. Fifth sphere is Mars. Fourth sphere is Jupiter, and the third sphere is Saturn. The second sphere is the zodiac, and then first sphere is like the whole universe. Okay, then 3, 2, and 1 are divine faculties within. 3, omnipotence, all powerful. 2, omniscience, all knowing. And 1, omnipresence, all present, all at once, eternally. The third sphere we tap into through sound, synchronized sound, oftentimes in mantra or sacred music, shamanic rhythm. Then also at the second sphere, omniscience, all knowing, wisdom, our ability to solve problems or to even avoid problems before they arise. We tap into this either through a divination system like the oracle, in which case we'll be sitting at the sixth sphere and contacting the second sphere, or getting all the way up to the second sphere, which entails being able to control our mind enough to stay off the content of the mind and stay focused on the object of our meditation. This enables us to sink, to calm the waters of our mind down to the point that we can see all the way to the bottom. Because the more calm the water is, the more transparent it is. And when you see the bottom, it's like the core or the center of the mind. And that's the first sphere, is the center. So here at the second sphere, you're seeing the center of the mind. At the first sphere, you're actually being the center of the mind. This is the singularity or the higher self that's within all of us. And when we sink down and we become that, we actually realize that the center of our mind is the exact same as the center of everybody else. And that unifies us. So this is the unifying factor here. And then the zero sphere is above the tree. This has to do with the mystery. This has to do with nothingness. And it has to do with getting out of the universe. This is not part of the universe. It's part of the creator of the universe. But it's the part of the universe that part of the creator that the creator reserves for itself. So we have no actual direct contact with the zero sphere, and that's why it's such a mystery. Okay, now, as I said, you can take this tree to multiple different levels, and so my first attempt for teaching this is to take it to that first level, to expand it from 12 to 144 different categories. I refer to this as the 144 fractal faculties, or stages of life, consciousness, spirituality, and history. But those 144 stages are not like chronological stages, they're dramatic stages. So 144 different dramas that we go through, different stages that we stand on. And today we're actually looking at number 140. And the question, what is the mystery of 6? Well, so that's what we have. Number 140 is in the zero sphere. So this has to do with nothingness and mystery. And then the number 140 is actually the 6th fractal within the zero sphere. So the 6th fractal is the free will, our ability to pay attention, our ability to make decisions. And that is like the within the mystery. So that's the question, what is the mystery of 6? Number 40 is called 6 ways, 6 degrees. And that's kind of punning from 6 ways from Sunday and 6 degrees of separation. Stage number 140 is about 6 and its functions. To start, 6 balls. One other thing I didn't mention about the zero sphere, it has to do with numbers and arithmetic as well. Those are really like the rules of the game. The zero sphere precedes the universe, and so the rules are laid down before the game starts. 6 is the volume. 6 to start. 6 balls in closest packing create the octahedron. 6 is the volume of the rhombic dodecahedron. 6 is the fundamental polyhedral divisor. The number of edges of Platonic solids are all divisible by 6. 6 equal balls or circles fit exactly around another equal ball or circle in a plane. You can try this with pennies. Take 1 penny and you can fit exactly 6 pennies around that one. This shows that the geometrical arithmetical balance of free will and determinism in the universe. You can't make 5 balls go around 1. You can't make 7 balls go around 1, or 6 and a fraction. It is exactly 6. That's just the way it is, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Not even omnipotence could do anything about it. We either adapt to it or we don't at our own peril. We can choose to do so by our free will, but we cannot choose the rules. It is cut and dried. So our free will is not absolute in our ability to do anything that we want. But it is absolute insofar as we can pay attention to the behavior of the universe and make decisions to harmonize with that behavior. 6 ways from Sunday in the vector equilibrium. In each vector equilibrium, from the center ball of the vector equilibrium, the omnidirectional checkerboard, which is at the core of all crystalline structures, we can move in 6 different directions. To move to one of the nodes of the vector equilibrium from the center, we can move 6 ways in both positive and negative directions. There are also 6 ways that 2 bodies can react in proximity to each other. They can smash each other up. They can reflect. They can refract. They can orbit around each other. They can avoid each other tangentially, or they can precess or modulated non-interference. There are also 6 kinds of systemic motion. Systems can spin, they can orbit, they can contract and expand, they can torque, they can turn inside out, and they can interprocess their parts to separate. 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of freedom. 6 degrees of freedom in Euclidean geometry: 3 linear, 3 rotational, x, y, and z, and I, j, and k. And that makes 60 degrees. Negatively, we unify by getting rid of the 6 degrees of separation in one of the planes of the vector equilibrium. We separate in rays that make 60 degrees. And the 6 degrees of freedom evoke cubic geometry toward each of the 6 faces of the cube. Alrighty, that is number 140, 6 ways, 6 degrees. What is the mystery of 6? The 6th fractal of the zero sphere. And I'm sure that probably is pretty hard to follow, but we will be going over this in more detail as we get to the units on quantum arithmetic and synergetic geometry. A lot of this was coming from Buckminster Fuller, his synergetic geometry that boils, it's really a quantum geometry. When you say quantum, you're basically saying integers, whole numbers. And 6 is a very important whole number that is incorporated in much geometry and much arithmetic. So, just keep all this stuff in mind, and we will be getting into it in much more detail as we go along. Okay, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. And you can click the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with others. And you can also click the link in the description to get my free copy of the guide to the 144 Fractal Faculties. And just keep in mind that I'll be rolling out a new one of these videos every day. And so enjoy your day, and please tune in tomorrow. Okay, thank you.